Hello everyone, Brittany Della Mora here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another video. Today I want to talk to you. I'm going to actually just answer a question that one of you have asked me. And that question was, you wanted me to talk about the dark side of the industry, like the spiritual darkness that goes on in the porn industry, and if I felt it while I was in the industry. So, when I first got into the industry, I was 18 years old, and I was living in my rebellion, and I was enjoying my sin. You know, sin is always enjoyable for a moment, and then it leaves you with all kinds of things: depression, suicidal thoughts, drug addiction, so many different things my sin left me with. And so when I first got into the industry, honestly, I was not aware of like what was going on spiritually, because I wasn't a spiritual person. I didn't grow up in church. And like we see Paul on the road to Damascus, like he was blind, right? And then it was God that sent a miracle to unblind him. And it's like, it's God that removes the veil off of our eyes so that we can see in the spirit, and so that we can have awareness and discernment of what's going on within that realm. And so for the first 3.5 years, I was blind to that. I knew that I didn't like what I was doing, but I didn't recognize, and I knew that I was in like a dark place in life, but I got so blinded by my depression that I honestly thought everybody felt that way. I grew up in a dysfunctional household, and so that was also what was displayed: a lot of anger, a lot of depression, a lot of chaos. And so for me, that chaos and that dysfunction and that depression was normal. It wasn't like, oh, this is clearly like the demonic realm attacking you or anything like that. And one thing that I find interesting is that while I was in the porn industry, I used to have seizures. Like I would have at least one every single year, at least one, sometimes two. And when I would go to a neurologist and they'd hook me up to an EEG and give me a CAT scan and all of that, an MRI, I think it was an MRI, they could never find anything wrong with my brain. And so they would give me, I think it was Keppra is what it was called, some kind of like an anti-seizure drug, which I rarely ever took. And I now look back and I go, wow, like clearly that had to be some sort of like demonic oppression or possession, of what I was going through, because when I started going to church, like the seizures stopped. And so that's really interesting. And like I was using drugs a lot within the industry, but there were periods like when I first got into the porn industry and I had first started having seizures, I wasn't even on drugs at that point. So it was very just, it's not all drug induced, right? Like I really believe that there's a spiritual side to it. So anyways, fast forward, I end up leaving the porn industry at about 3.5 years. I give my life to Jesus, and now I go back to the porn industry. I had a pimp that ended up getting me back into the porn industry. And that was when I started to recognize like the darkness. I wasn't fully awake to it, but I knew there was definitely something going on. So I had gotten clean for a short period of time. I wasn't using drugs, and I was in Mexico City. We were doing this like huge porn, it was kind of like a conference, like a meet and greet kind of thing. And so I remember I was staying in a hotel room with this girl, and we walked by each other, and I felt this like it was so weird. And I remember thinking like, man, I just felt like a spirit, and I didn't know what it was, but I was like, it just like went through me. And it was the weirdest thing. I've never felt something that real like that since that day. And I remember going like, I don't know what that is, but that is so weird. So anyways, I still, like I said, wasn't fully awake. So now I leave the porn industry for good, right? I get out of the industry. And then when I come back to the porn industry, not to perform in scenes, but to minister the gospel and to share the love of Jesus with other porn people. I remember the first time that I went back to a porn show, and it was in Las Vegas. And I was like praying for just everybody that was serving on the team with us. And I remember having this vision, and there were demons at like a casino, in like within a casino table in this vision that I had, and they were gambling and like throwing the dice. And they were like gambling for people's lives, right? They were like placing bets on whose life they were going to take and on whose life they were going to demonically possess. And like it was really, really, really dark. And so I didn't start to recognize the spiritual darkness and like the demonic realm, but it's so interesting because there are things like I sometimes will go back and like watch old interviews that I've done and stuff like that, and just different ways that I would like move my hand and like the way that I used to talk, like that was not me. Like that was clearly a demonic spirit flowing through me. Like there's a scripture in the book of Acts where this woman is possessed and she's able to fortune tell, and they cast the spirit out of her. And the people that owned her were really, really upset because the demon left, so they were no longer going to make money from her fortune telling. And that's how I felt when I was in the porn industry. Like that was a spirit flowing through me. Like I can no longer act, talk, or move like I used to because that was not me. That was a spirit moving through me. And so there definitely is a dark side to the porn industry. With any realm of life, anywhere that you are living in sin, like that is darkness, like that is Satan's design for you. Like he wants you to live a sin-filled life that's overflowing with just darkness. He wants to be able to attack you. He wants to still kill and destroy, but God has come to give us life and life in abundance. Like that's what Jesus does for us. And so, yeah, when you walk in truth and when you walk in light, your eyes will be open to that realm. And pray for discernment. Pray that God will show you those types of things, because when you see things in the spirit realm, it makes it really hard to want to roll with the devil. Like it makes it really hard because you're like, I don't want to go hang out with these demons right now, because you could just sense